First off, though, did you guys hear that I'm actually moving back to Kingfisher? Yeah. Awesome. That has got more laughs and applause than anything else I've done tonight, so I'm just going to tell you more updated news. I'm really excited to get my kids here into school here because I went to school here and I had a great time, except for I did have some friends in high school here that I don't really know why I was friends with. Have you ever had any of those type of friends in your life that they're your friends, but you don't really know why? Like you get it? You're tracking on this one, cool. Okay, so I had a friend in high school here, and his name was Michael. All right, now, I was a freshman, and Michael was a junior, and the reason this relationship worked out so great for me was he had a car. I did not have a car. The relationship worked out for him. I do not know why. Maybe because he just liked being mean to somebody, and I was that guy, right? But one thing that Michael and I did have in common was we loved this band called Cake. I specify band because if I just said I love Cake, you'd say, I know. We get it. So we love this band Cake, right? And we'd drive around and that's what we listen to. So Cake has a new record coming out, right? It's 1998. I'm totally excited. He's excited. We both get the record, all right? We're listening to it at home by ourselves, and then we finally get together in the vehicle, right? Okay, now, I don't know if you know anything about me besides what you're seeing right now, but I am probably the best air drummer / guitar player you've ever seen. I'm sorry, Sam, and if you need autographs later, I can do that. But I was extremely excited to get in the vehicle with Michael because we were going to jam out to the new Cake album together. And I'll never forget, we get in the car, we hit track 1 of the song, and it starts off with the guitar. Dun, 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 and I'm getting it, right? We're driving down the road, and I'm going to town. And the drums kick in, and I mean, check this out, like. Right? I mean, that's like probably the best you've ever seen, right? So we're driving down the road, the song's kicking, we're going, and then the words kick in, right? I know of an ancient radiant, and all of a sudden, Michael just slams on the brakes. I'm like, whoa, dude, what's happening? And he said, listen, from now on, you can only sing the backups, and you can only play air trumpet and air keys. I was like, what? He's like, this is my truck. I do air guitar and air drums, and I sing lead. I was like, bro, that's not cool, right? Like, that's not fair. And it's probably because he was wicked jealous of my skills, and I'm okay with that. But from that day forward, when we were driving down the road, he'd be singing, and I'd be over there going, right? And then the trumpet solo, and that was my part, and it was miserable. However, I still listen to that record today, and I will drive, no joke, I'll be driving down the road with my wife and kids, and we'll be listening to it, and I'm just over there going, she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, those are the only parts I know. Those are the only parts I'm allowed to do and sing, right? So I don't know why I hung out with Michael, but I did. So I'm excited for my kids to get here and get some similar experiences. So, okay. So I want to tell you some stories about my family, because every one of us has a family, and every one of your families are extremely weird and awkward. You just don't realize it because you're in it, right? So you think everyone else's family is super weird and strange, but really it's you. It's you. So I'm going to share some of my family with you so that maybe you'll feel a little bit better about yours and yourself. And everything that I'm going to tell you and everything that I have told you so far is completely true. Okay? I'm not going to be making up anything. This is just real deal stories, okay? Everyone agree that I'm telling the truth? Cool, I just needed a drink. I don't really care if you believe me. No. So let me tell you about my dad. Let me tell you about my dad first. I won't say his name, in case he listens to the recording. He won't think I sold him out. But Willie Cupp is my dad, and one thing that okay, I don't even know how to get into this, man. My mom was going to college, and I was a little kid, and my dad would have to take care of me at night. And I remember my mom would always say, make sure you feed Kelly. All right, he did a good job. 4 more fat jokes, we'll call it good. But she'd always say, make sure you feed Kelly. And I'll never forget, my dad would always say, Kelly, you want some ramen noodles? Right, now everyone here is aware of ramen noodles. You've all had them. You've all gone through that phase in your life where you had a quarter and that was all you had, right? So you ate the ramen noodles, okay. So I would say, yeah, Dad, I love ramen noodles. But here's what ramen noodles was to me. My dad would open the package and he would throw away the little flavor pack. I didn't know what that was. I thought that was like the silica gel that kept it fresh, right? He would throw that away. He would then break, you know how the noodles are in like little squares? He would break the squares apart, but not crush them. He would put a piece of cheese on each one, put it in the microwave for 30 seconds, and then hand that to me on a plate, right? So I was eating this, it's like a ramen noodle sandwich, and that's what ramen noodles was to me, okay? It was delicious, I guess. It was good, and I had this like every single night. Like, that was my dad's go-to meal for me. So I remember going to a friend's house for a weekend, like a sleepover, and his mom was like, hey, Kelly, do you like ramen noodles? I was like, yeah, I love ramen noodles. My dad makes that for me all the time, right? So I go sit down at the dinner, and she gives me this bowl of like, these noodles and some water with this flavor, and it was all hot, and I was like, what is that? She's like, that's ramen noodles. I was like, where's the cheese? What is all this water? What is this meal, right? And I had no idea forever that my dad was feeding me rat food half of my life. So, I feel bad, man. That's my dad. Now, my mom, I don't want to talk bad about my mom because I love my mom. She's amazing. I love my mom to death. But my mom's got some weird stuff too, right? Like, my mom, when she gets mad, like, she's amazing, like the most loving person ever. But when she gets mad, she comes at you with like a vengeance. And I don't know if any of your parents ever did this, but if she wants to beat you, she will just grab the nearest item to beat you with it, right? So I can tell you 100 stories of me getting beat, but I got one better of my brother getting beat, so we'll do that, right? So I'll never forget one day, I don't remember what my little brother did, but we had, our living room was set up where there's the living room and the kitchen. And there was a door that went to the kitchen here and a door that went here, but there wasn't a door, it was just an opening, you know what I'm saying? So you could go a full circle. And I remember watching my mom, I don't know what happened, but my brother, little bitty, skinny dude, flying through there, and my mom chasing behind him with a Hot Wheels track, right? They are just running, making laps, and she's screaming at him, and he's just screaming. And I'm watching like, whoa, what's gonna happen? Right? This is like an awesome show, like you can't buy tickets to anything like this. This is phenomenal. But no action was happening, so I thought it's my job to speed up the action. So my brother made it around that corner, I just put my foot out. And there it went, boom, and my mom goes, thanks, and then she starts going to town on him with his Hot Wheels tracks. Anybody know what I'm talking about? He's like, yeah, my mom raised some speed bumps on me too, bro. You see, it took me a while before I realized, Kelly, your mom is beating you with your own toys. Like, that's reality for me. My mom is beating me with my toys. Like, I can just imagine my parents Christmas shopping going, yeah, that'll hurt. Yeah. Right? Like, I'm extremely glad I never got the ninja sword set that I'd asked for. I'm so glad that didn't happen. Did your mom ever do one of these where she'd get mad and like tell you to like go get something to spank you with? Like my mom would tell me like, go get me something to spank you with. And I would come back, we had like a willow tree in the back, I'd come back with a big twig, like, here you go, mom. My bad. It didn't take long before I realized, that sucks. So she would say that and I would just go grab a piece of paper, here you go, mom, go to town. I still got paper cuts though, so don't even laugh about it. But she beat me with my own toys, but that probably isn't the worst thing that she did with my toys, because I also very distinctly remembering going to my friend's house one time, and we're sitting down in his backyard to play. He got a bunch of new toys, and we're sitting down, and he's got this awesome G.I. Joe fort. I'm like, man, I got that. Yeah, this is awesome. He got out his G.I. Joes. I'm like, man, I got that. I got that too. He got out the trucks. I was like, dude, I have every single one of these. And he's like, yeah, your mom brought them over last week. I was like, whoa, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, so my mom would just go through our house, and if it was something that she thought we didn't play with anymore, or we didn't use, she just gave it away. right? So I thought, I really had accused a lot of my friends of stealing my things all the time. It was a bummer to go over to someone's house and like you would see something you have and you would instantly think, well, that's probably mine. Like I would start like distinctly marking items in my house so I could tell if I went to your house if that was mine or not, right? And she did this to my dad and everyone else in the family too, which it's a bummer now because I carry that with me. And seriously, if I can't find a shirt at home, I'll tell my wife, I'm like, Lindsay, did you throw that shirt away? She's like, how many of your shirts have I ever thrown away? I'm like, 0, but that doesn't mean it ain't happened before, right? I remember going to my cousin's house, my cousin Jake, and I go in his garage. He had this sweet skateboard. I had the same skateboard, and sure enough, Kelly K written right on the side of the skateboard. I was so bummed. I'm accusing my cousin of stealing my toys. So, all right, how about Jake? I wasn't even going to tell you about this. We'll stick with Jake for a minute. I used to babysit Jake, all right? Jake is my cousin. He has a little sister named Brooke. Jake and Brooke, they're awesome. I don't know why their parents trusted me with the job of keeping them when I was about 16 years old, and they were probably 9 or 10, and they would let me take them to Whitewater. You guys know Whitewater, water park, yeah? So I would take them to Whitewater during the day, and Brooke was younger, so she would kind of stick back with me, but Jake, we would let him kind of go and do his own thing, and then, he would just check in with me. And I remember one day walking with Brooke to like the next ride, the next thing, and I saw Jake like right ahead of me. And I had this great idea for a prank, right? I was gonna make Brooke laugh. I was like, Brooke, watch this. This is gonna be hilarious, right? So my idea was, I was gonna sneak up behind Jake and just give him the biggest wedgie he'd ever experienced in his life, right? It was gonna be hilarious, right? We were gonna laugh. It was gonna be a great time. So it plays out just like that. I sneak up behind him. I get right on it, and I'm telling you, this is my cousin, right? I love him. So I reach down as far as I can into the back of his pants, just all the way in, pick him up off the ground. He's just dangling. I've got him, like super wedgie, like he probably gonna need stitches. Like I've got him hanging in the air, and he turns back and looks at me, and I realize that's not Jake. I literally had no clue who this kid was. And you should have seen the terror in his eyes as he looked back at me, and I'm just smiling, going, So I did what anyone would do. I dropped him and bailed out. Sorry, kid, bye. And I'm sure his version of this story is way different. And I'm sure that he's gone through many years of counseling since that moment. And if he saw me, he'd probably just have a seizure or pass out. I don't know. But that was a rough day for him. It's good for all of us, though, right? But I love doing pranks, and that wasn't the extent of pranks for me. So I had a job in the mall for a while at a store called Lovesac, and let me explain who Lovesac is before you just start jumping to conclusions. Lovesac they were bean bags, but they were like 6, 8, 10-foot bean bags. And they didn't have beans in them, they had Durafoam, like memory foam in them, right? Now they were awesome. They're literally like the most comfortable chair you can ever sit in. They're incredible. The downside was they cost like $1,000 to $2,000 a piece. So you can imagine we didn't sell a lot of those in the mall. We'd probably sell maybe 1 or 2 of them a month, if that, which gave us a ton of time in the store for other activities, right, of whichever I could come up with. And it started off pretty simple, where we would do things like, have you ever taken a $10 bill and we would tie on fishing line, and then we would string it out in the mall and set it down, and I would hide around the corner, and then the old man would come and try to grab it. Did you just pull it a little bit? Has anyone ever done that? Punks, you guys are jerks. But so it started off like that. We would do tricks like that, and that was great. I remember we would go down to the mall office, and if you acted hurt, like you couldn't walk very well, they would give you a motorized scooter, right? I'm not suggesting you lie, I'm just saying you could. And they would give us a scooter, and we would take it back to the store, and we had all these big love sacks, right? These cushions that are perfect for doing stunts on motorized scooters that don't belong to you. And we would put the scooter up on the counter, and we would drive it off into the love sack until one day we completely snapped the counter and broke So we had to stop doing that. But then it went from there to I realized that you could open the love sacks and put things into them as well. So we brought a PA, kind of like this, and we would put the speakers inside the love sack, and then I would put some money just out on the counter, and then I would just hide around the back of the store. And when people would come in, I'd be like, hey, there's money on the counter. Just take it. Just take the money. No one's watching. You can get away with it. And every time they'd be like, they'd be looking around for me. I'm like, you can't find me. You don't know where I am. Just take the money. Just take it. Then we'd jump out and be like, hey, don't steal that money. You know, give them a heart attack, and it was funny for us. That was great, but we had to keep escalating. And probably it's really hard for me to tell this without laughing, because this is probably the funniest thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. But we figured out, I had a buddy of mine named Tyler, and he would come and just hang out at the mall with me. I don't know why he did it. He must have had no life at all. What he did was hung out with me in the Love Sack store my entire shift. And I realized I could put Tyler in the Love Sack, right? Now, what we were supposed to do at the store, our tactic to get people in, was I would stand at the door and say, hey, come in, you gotta try this chair, you're gonna love it. And then once you sat down, you wanted it. It was that good. You just didn't buy it because it was $1 million. But that's what we did, right? Come in, try this out. So the idea was, we'll put Tyler in the Love Sack, and then when I have someone come in, they sit down, Tyler will grab hold of them and scream and scare them to death, right? And let me tell you, this was hilarious. Once we started doing this filled our days, right? I'd put Tyler in there, I'd be like, hey, come in and try the Love Sack, you're gonna love it. They'd sit down, run, and I would laugh, and they would run out of the store, and we wouldn't sell anything. But it was so funny, right? So we're doing this one day, Tyler's in there, and when Tyler gets in there, I mean, I zip him up, so the only way he can get out is when I come and let him out. And I'm looking for the next customer, victim, whatever, and I look down the mall and I see a guy coming, right? And I see him and I say, that's my man, because this guy made me look small. He made me look tiny. When I say this guy was 450 to 500 pounds, I'm not kidding, right? So I know this is going to be amazing. This is going to be amazing, but I know it's only amazing for me, but I was a selfish kid, all right? So I'm okay with that. So, all right, the guy's coming, and I'm like, hey, sir, you've got to come in and try this Love Sack. And he says exactly what I thought he would say. No way. He said, if I sit down on that, I'm not getting back up. And he wasn't meaning because it's comfortable. He meant he physically wasn't going to get back up. And he was right. I knew he wouldn't, but I had to sell this idea. I had to make this happen. And I said, no, sir, I'll help you. You're going to love this. It's not a big deal. You're going to love it. You've got to sit down on it. And eventually he agrees. I don't know if it was so I would shut up and he could move on, or if he really bought into the idea. But he said, all right, I'm going to do it. So he comes in. Tyler has no idea. Tyler can't see. He doesn't know what's about to happen. But inside, my heart is racing because I'm so pumped, because I know exactly what's about to happen, right? So I'm just telling the guy, you're going to love this thing, man. You're going to want one at home. It's so great. So he is like, I can't even express this to you. He is like lining up over the Love Sack, because this isn't going to be just like a small sit down. This is going to be everything I've got straight in, right? Okay. That's the only option he's got. So I'm like this. Yeah. Jump in. Here we go. He lines up and he's like, all right. And he just goes, right? And Tyler, instead of going, Tyler just goes, get off! And Tyler just starts punching the guy. Like both arms, I just see these little fists like popping up in the fabric. And this guy is going, and he's like trying to roll up and he can't get off. And I told him I'd help him, but I can't help him because I'm on the ground and I can't breathe because I'm laughing so hard. I'm just like, I can't even get anything out. And the dude is just, I don't know how long it took him to get off, because I never helped the guy. And Tyler the entire time is just punching him. And it's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was, the greatest moment in the history of all moments for me. And I don't recommend you do that to anyone, but man, if you can do it, all right? So the guy finally family leaves and I get Tyler out of there. Needless to say, Tyler didn't want to play that game anymore. But I wanted to. But what happened after that was Lovesac designed some new Lovesacks, and they were animal figures. And they sent us a 6-foot lion Lovesac, right? And once we got that in the store, instantly I knew I can put Tyler in there, right? Like, this is gonna be great. So what I did was I took the lion back into the back room and we pulled out all the stuffing, all the memory foam, and I tell Tyler, bro, you're gonna get into this lion Lovesac. Because what I haven't told you is that the store right across from us was Build-A-Bear, right? So I said, Tyler, here's what you're gonna do. This is like Saturday, mid-afternoon. You're gonna get in the lion Lovesac and go to Build-A-Bear and just be mean to kids. I mean, not like abuse them, but just like push them around a little bit, you know? It's meaner than an average stuffed lion should be, right? So Tyler says, I'm in. So we get him in there, and sure enough, he goes over to Build-A-Bear, and he just starts being mean to the kids. And it was hilarious, right? He's just kind of pushing them around like, hey, kid, you know, he's just not giving hugs, things like that. And I guess, you gotta imagine, this is like Saturday at the mall. It is packed. And this is Penn Square Mall, so you know, in Oklahoma City, okay? So he's over there doing that, and I guess some parents complained, and they called security. So security comes up, and I'll never forget, I was standing at my store, and security and Build-A-Bear employees are having a fight about this lion, right? And they are like, you need to get your lion under control, like, you can't be doing this. And they're like, this is not our lion, we don't know where this came from. And I'm just like, yeah, all right. And then security's like, who else's lion could it be, right? It's Build-A-Bear. So eventually what happens is the security guard starts trying to tell Tyler to stop, to chill out, and he won't, so he starts chasing Tyler. Now, picture this, mall security guard chasing full force, full sprint, a 6-foot stuffed lion through the mall, right? He is just running after him, and Tyler is just running right in front of him as fast as he can, and it's so good. The security guard says, Tiger, hey Tiger, stop. And Tyler stops, and he just looks and says, I'm a lion. That's all he says, I'm a lion. And then they're both kind of at a standstill, and they're just frozen there, and I'll never forget it. Tyler gets down on all fours and just starts charging at the security guard. Now, if I'm a security guard and a 6-foot tall stuffed lion starts running at me, that's hilarious. Come on, bro. Like, what are you gonna do? The security guard panics. His eyes get about this big, and he just turns and starts sprinting the other way. So now you've got a 6-foot lion on all fours chasing mall security through the mall on a Saturday afternoon. It was hysterical. I won't ever forget it. Partly because we got fined $1,000 and I was banned from the mall for 30 days, but it was good. I loved it. What did kind of suck though was that I actually had another job at the mall at the same time, and when I was banned from the mall, I couldn't go to that job either. And I was the manager of a store called Hot Topic, and all of you are saying, obviously, obviously that's what you did, right? I mean, I did. I worked at Hot Topic for like 4 years, and I wore mascara and fingernail polish and fishnets. And I remember my dad one time told me if I wanted 3 daughters, I would have had 3 daughters. I said, well, you didn't name me Kelly, so that's on you. That's on you. But working at Hot Topic was funny because we would get Christians would try to come in there and witness. That was like a mission field for them. And even at the time, I was a Christian, actually still working with Pastor Randy, doing some youth leadership. And I remember having customers come in, and they would ask me things like, where do you keep the souls? I'd be like, well, I just sold out, bro. You just missed them. You just missed them, actually. And they would come in with the most crazy things ever. You know, they come in and ask you, hey, do you know the mall pretty good? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. What can I help you with? How do you get to heaven? Do you know how to get? Is it through those gates of hell right there? How do you get to heaven? And I realized that at that moment that Christians and our witnessing tactics are all off. And a lot of times I think that Christians be profiling on who they're going to try to witness to. And I apparently get picked a lot. All right? Even now, for a living, I am a preacher. That is what I do full time. I travel the world and preach. And a matter of fact, I was on TBN a year ago doing an interview. I'm the guest on TBN doing the interview about the ministry that I work for. And backstage, people are trying to talk to me about Jesus not getting saved. They're like, hey man, we're so glad that you made it out here. You know, have you accepted Jesus? I'm like, bro, I'm the guy on the show. Like, and I think somebody donated $100 and got some holy water and like was throwing it on me. Like, they were really serious. Some of you don't get the TBN donating, never mind. But even what was it? There was a big citywide garage sale here in Kingfisher a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago. I can't remember. And it was like Pastor Randy and some other families of ministers, people from the church had all got together to do a multi-home garage sale, right? So I came and brought some stuff, and a lady gets out of her car, doesn't buy anything, kind of looks around at all the people at the garage sale, and comes to me and sits down next to me with a tract. And she says, hey, I just want to talk to you about Jesus. I was like, hey, that's awesome. I'm actually a pastor. She's like, oh, good for you. But let me just tell you, you'll just go to this website. It's going to tell you how you can accept Jesus into your heart. I'm like, no, I'm a preacher. Like, I love Jesus too. Like, that's what I do. Now, she didn't talk to anyone else at the garage sale, right? Just me, because if anyone is a Satanist, it's that guy, right? If anyone here doesn't know God, it's the guy with all the tattoos, because he definitely doesn't love Jesus. So all I'm saying is we need to stop profiling and just witness to everybody, all right? Essentially, I'm just saying, leave me alone. What's horrible, though, is that my grandma, when she was alive, who was that type of Christian, I had a grandma named Mom, and I love Mom, but that's the type of Christian that she was. She was a profiling. Matter of fact, when I would go visit, she would try to get me saved. And I'm like, you know I'm a preacher, Grandma. Like you, and she would ask, like, can those tattoos come off though? Like, has God delivered you totally yet? But okay, Mom for me. Like, do any of you guys have just like the super quirky family member that's just they are so strange and weird? They just do so many weird things. If your hand is not up, it's you. Okay, it's you. Well, Mom was that for me. All right, she was the most quirky, had the weirdest antics, things about her. And one of them was, since I can remember, no matter what I did, she would tell me, Kelly, there's spiders there. They're going to get you. Like, if we came in and took off our shoes, if you want to put them back on, Kelly, dump out your shoes. Shake out your shoes. There's spiders in your shoes. Right? She had this refrigerator in her garage, and to turn on the light in the garage, you had to reach behind it and turn on the light, and every time I reached back, she'd be like, hurry, there's spiders, they're going to get you, right? And I would panic, and still to this day, like, I am super afraid of spiders, because no matter what we did, she insisted there were spiders out to get us. And I remember one time, I can't remember exactly what I did, but she got on to me, and she was going to chase me down and spank me. You guys don't know what that is, but this was a normal part of my life at the time, right? She's coming to spank me, and I just run and dive under the bed. All right, I was much smaller then than I am now. And I'm under the bed, and I'm like, you can't get me. And she said, I'll never forget it, there's spiders under there, and they're going to bite you. I'm like, now I have a choice to make. Like, do I stay under here and get bit by the millions of spiders? Or do I get out and let her beat me for a while, right? So I came out and let her beat me for a while. Because there ain't no way I'm going to get bit by a spider. Ain't no way, right? So I'm completely paranoid of spiders to this day because of her always telling me there's spiders in my shoes, there's spiders everywhere. I remember when I was 15 years old, 15 or 16, I was taking a shower at my house. And I'm in the shower, and I look up on the shower head, and there's the biggest, scariest, gnarliest spider I've ever seen in my life. Right? Just staring right back at me. And I freeze, I panic. Because in this moment, you gotta think, this is the most vulnerable I could ever be. I'm naked, I'm wet, I'm alone. There's no gun or knife nearby. Like, what am I gonna do? And I would like to tell you that this is the moment that I stood up and faced my fear and I flipped that spider off there, but I can't tell you that because I can't really tell you what happened, because all I know is at that moment the spider jumped off and landed on my chest. And as soon as it did, I fainted. Fell completely out of the shower, hit my head on the toilet. I wake up, who knows how long later. I'm halfway in the shower, halfway out, water is everywhere, huge knot on my head, spider is nowhere to be found, right? And I guarantee you that spider tells a much different story. I guarantee it's like, the day we took out the giant. It's probably like a spider parade every year on that day, like celebrating the day they knocked me out. And even then, even after that, I'm still scared of spiders. Last year, as a matter of fact, I had a really busy day planned. My brother-in-law was in town, and we had some things we were going to do. And I remember getting up in the morning, I got dressed really fast, and I put on my shoes. And as I put them on, this thought hit my mind: Kelly, you need to shake out your shoes. And it was that moment that I said, you know what? No, that's irrational. Kelly, you're 34 years old. There's never been a spider in your shoe. There will never be a spider in your shoe. Just put your shoes on and go about your day, right? So that's what I do. I put my shoes on, I'm going about my day. But it felt like something was in my shoe. And now, have you ever had like a sock fuzzy? You know what I'm talking about? Like a little thing of sock. You know what I'm talking about, okay? And I'm just like, okay, there's a sock fuzzy in there. So I'm like doing my stuff, and I'm like doing these like all through the house, like walking around like, okay, just trying to work it out. And I remember like doing that, and I'm like, God, that is like the biggest sock fuzzy ever. Like, I just couldn't get rid of it. And finally, we're about to leave the house, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna deal with this thing just once and for all. So I remember I go in the kitchen, and I grab my shoe, and I take it off, and I dump it out, and out comes the biggest spider I've ever seen since the shower head spider, right? I grab that shoe and I just go, going across the room. My brother-in-law completely freaks out, knocks over his cereal, he hits the deck, he's like, whoa, what's going on, are you okay? And I'm like, there's a spider in my shoe! I leave, run out of the kitchen, right? And he's like, a spider. I'm like, it's the biggest, like this big, like 50-cent piece spider, right? I never wore those shoes again. I burned them because obviously they're of the devil, but that was my mom, man. I'm still afraid of spiders to this day because of her, right? She was weird about it. She was weird like that. And another weird thing that she did, and this was, she did not like the music I liked. Now, I get that, right? I mean, generation gap here, whatever. I was really big into heavy metal. I love Iron Maiden and Metallica and Ronnie James Dio, Black Sabbath, things like that. I'm sorry, not anymore, God. I don't anymore. Because once you're a Christian, we only watch G-rated movies and we only listen to worship, or you're going to hell. And we don't get tattoos either. So, but at the time I was listening. That was a joke. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So she didn't like the music I like, and I remember her always telling me, like, Kelly, you need to listen to the music that we listen to at church. And the problem was that she didn't go to a cool church like this church where like contemporary worship. I mean, she was like Southern Baptist. We only listened to hymns, right? And I just, at the time, there's no way I was gonna throw in a cassette tape of some hymns and just jam out in the car, right? I was like, Grandma, that's not feasible for me. But it finally hit me one day. We're sitting in church, and I was listening to the hymns, and I was like, Grandma, we listen to the same music. Like, I don't know if you've ever realized it, because the hymns are so happy, but that stuff is dark, yo. Like, let me just show you, okay? I printed this off because I knew you were gonna look at me like you're looking at me and not believe me, okay? I'm gonna read you a couple of lines from some songs, and I want you to tell me what's a hymn and what is a heavy metal song, okay? Let's just start with this one. Slaves, Hebrews, born to serve to the Pharaoh, faith of the unknown one, the deliverer, Wait, something must be done 400 years, so let it be written, so let it be done. I'm sent here by the chosen one. Okay? Is that the metal song or the hymn, or is this the metal song or the hymn? There was a fountain filled with blood, drawn from Emmanuel's veins, and sinners plunged beneath that flood, lose all their guilty stains. All right, which one of those is the death metal song? You're right, the first one, the one about the Hebrews, that's Creeping Death by Metallica, right? But however, there's a fountain filled with blood. It's from a hymn from 1772 called There Is a Fountain, and right underneath it, it says, sing joyfully. My grandma was into some dark stuff, yo, right? I was like, Grandma, we could have been bonding over this a long time ago. I got some good tunes for you. I mean, think about it. Even one of our most favorite songs ever, it's still most, Hillsong redid this song. Oh, precious is the flow that makes me white as snow. No other fount I know, nothing but the blood of Jesus. That is talking about a fountain of blood, right? That is the most metal thing I've ever heard in my life. And we sing it so happy. I mean, I'm all about it. But then I was listening to the evil music, right? That said, he makes me happy when I'm feeling down. Take away my worries, away my frown. Gotta see my rock and roll doctor. That was by Black Sabbath, Rock and Roll Doctor. But I was the one listening to evil music. Come on, Grandma. Come on, right? My mom she was weird, bro. She was weird. I wish I would have realized that back in the day. We could have bonded a lot more. Maybe she would have liked Dio, could have done Rainbow in the Dark or something, you know? But, okay, but yeah, all right, last one on my mom. Like, probably my favorite thing now, looking back. Probably my least favorite thing as a kid, but looking back, this is hilarious. One of the things she would do when I would come to visit her is she would say, Kelly, do you want to go to Walmart and get some new clothes? And I would always be like, yeah. Absolutely, I want to go to Walmart and get some clothes. Like, that sounds awesome. Let's go shopping at Walmart. So before we would leave, though, she would go and get her Polaroid camera. Again, you don't know what this is, right? You see, back in the day, you didn't have a camera in your phone. Matter of fact, your phone was attached to a wall. That didn't even go with you, right? So a Polaroid camera was a camera, but whenever you took a picture, like, click, the picture would actually come out right there, and you would have it. It's awesome. Coolest invention ever. I was like some magical fairies and they're just pushing out photos. I don't know how it works, but it's great. So she would grab the Polaroid camera and we'd go to Walmart. And she'd say, all right, Kelly, show me what you want. I'd be like, okay, I want this shirt. She'd go, take a picture. Okay, cool. Show me something else. I like this outfit. Cool. Take the picture. When we keep doing this, here's another one. Here's the picture. I like this one. Here's the picture. Finally, I'd be like, well, that's all I like. She'd be like, okay, let's go. What you mean, let's go? We're going to buy you those clothes? You just said you want to go to the store and get some clothes. She's like, no, we got the pictures. I'm like, I don't want the pictures of the clothes. I want the clothes. I don't want are we making a fashion magazine? Like, I don't understand. What is the deal here? And we would go back home, and that would be it. We wouldn't even talk about it. Then I would go back to my house, and I would come visit her again. But this time when I came visit, I would have those clothes. They would be there waiting. And I could not figure it out for the life of me. Until one day I finally realized, when I was on the playground and kids were making fun of me for my Nikki shirt, right? My grandma was making these. She was taking pictures of the clothes I wanted, and then when I was gone, she would make them for me. And then that's what I would wear, which is great until she starts misspelling the brand names, and people are calling me out on it, and I don't know how to stand up for myself with this, right? It was horrible. I was a sad kid, man. Between the ramen noodles and the Nikki shirts, it was bad for me, all right? But it got to the point, though, where she extended this not from just clothes, but to toys as well. Right? Like, okay, I don't know if you remember or not, but in the 80s, they came out with the most coolest, most awesome toy that's ever existed. And it was called My Buddy. Right? My Buddy, I remember the commercials, man. My buddy, my buddy, my buddy and me. Right? This thing was awesome. It made all your friends look like crap. Right? Like, this dude is the coolest friend ever. He'll ride on a bike with you. You can go swimming with him. He'll hang out all night. He never sleeps. And I was like, man, I've got to have this buddy is awesome. I remember telling my grandma, I've got to have my buddy. She said, let's go to Walmart. She grabbed that Polaroid camera. And I said, I know what's happening. Right? So we go to Walmart. She takes a picture of my buddy. There it is. And I know I'm going to go home. And when I come back, I'm going to have my buddy. Kind of. And that is exactly what happened, right? So I leave and I come back. No box, no nothing. But here it is. My buddy. But it was just a little off. I don't know what it was. It was more like my duddy, right? But I was happy. I was happy that I had it. It was as close as I was going to get. It was great. I loved it. It was my favorite toy I've ever had. I watched the commercials and I'm like, yep, I got mine, right? But here's another thing that happened in the 80s that I don't know if you're aware of. And it's probably the most horrible thing that ever could have happened in the 80s was they made a little movie called Child's Play. If you don't know what Child's Play is, it's about a doll named Chucky. And Chucky looked just like my buddy. He was identical to my buddy. And this is the meanest thing you can ever do to a little kid, is make him think that his toy, his best friend in the world, will come alive at night and stab you, right? Now I'll tell you, I probably should have been watching Child's Play, right? That's what they're thinking. These kids aren't gonna watch this anyway, so no big deal. However, I go spend the night with my uncle, who's young, and he decides to show me Child's Play. He thinks this is a great movie for me to see. I disagree looking back. This is not the great movie for me to see. But he shows me the whole movie, and I get really scared. And now I didn't quite put together, I was young, I was little, I didn't quite put together two and two that my buddy is Chucky, right? I didn't get it. But I was very scared, and I'd asked him, like, hey man, can I sleep with you? Like, this is scary. And he's like, yeah, sure, absolutely. So we go to sleep, I'm sleeping with my uncle, and everything's good, we're all great, I'm safe. Until I wake up in the middle of the night, and my buddy is choking me. He's got his little hands around my neck and squeezing, and what was happening was my uncle had my duddy and had his little hands around my neck trying to scare me to death. But I'm telling you, I panicked, I freaked out, I could never play with that toy again, ever. For the rest, we had to burn my duddy, and it was sad. But you think I'm kidding, I did burn the shoes, I did burn my duddy, because those things are evil. That was probably the most jacked up memory of my childhood. I still have nightmares to this day of that stupid little doll choking me out in the middle of the night. It was completely evil, it was completely horrible. So, anyway, all right. So those are some of the stories from my family that hopefully you feel better about your family now, thinking, hey, I don't have it that bad. None of your toys ever choked you out in the middle of the night, you're doing okay. If your parents didn't bake all your clothes, you're doing okay. I guarantee you, you'll never look at ramen the same after tonight. But I do want to just wrap this up and just close this out for us, and I want to do that on a more serious note, if that's okay. And the stories are cool, and I appreciate you guys listening and laughing, but I just want to kind of wrap up with my testimony and just tell you a little bit about how I came to know Jesus. And just I don't really talk about it a whole lot, so I just want to kind of give that to you. So my story, it was West Philadelphia is kind of where I was born and raised, but it really felt like the playground though was where I spent just most of my days. Like that's where I was. Really, we would just, cooling off, chilling off, maxing, relaxing, and we would just hang out and like shoot b-ball outside the school, and that's. No, seriously, I'm just trying to talk to you about how. All right. And things were good. My childhood was great, and then there was this couple of guys, and they were up to no good, and they started making a bunch of trouble in our neighborhood. And I'll never forget it. Like, I got in this one little fight, and my mom got so scared. She was so scared for us, and she was like, Kelly, you have to go live with your aunt and uncle, and they lived in Bel Air. Seriously. So at the time, there was like no cell phones or Uber or anything, so I like got on the phone and like whistled for the cab. And when it came near to the house, like, I could see the license plate, and this is crazy, it's a true story. It said fresh on it, and he had like these big dice in the mirror. And like, I was like, whoa, this is like a rare cab. And then I thought, no, this is serious. I just, Holmes, let's go to Bel Air. And yeah, so we pulled to the house. It was like around 7 or 8, and I yelled to the cab driver, like, yo, Holmes, smell you later, because we built a good relationship on the cab ride. And as a matter of fact, it was in that cab ride where I had accepted Jesus. He had talked to me about Jesus, and I accepted him into my heart. And so when I got out, and I realized, I looked up at the new house, and I was like, man, this is God's kingdom. And one day I'm gonna die, but I'm gonna be in his kingdom, and I realize I'm finally gonna be there. And when that happens, I'm gonna look at Jesus on the throne and be like, yo, you the real Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Thank you guys so much, I appreciate it. Have a good night.